results of last night's presidential election confirming Baron Windsor will be the 55th President of the United States.
For half a century we sat by, idly watching as the entire planet moved closer to a third world war. Long past are the trenches of 1914 and the blitzkrieg of 1940, with several nations now possessing the devastating power of nuclear weapons. The degrading stability within and between nations has caused all corners of the world to be plunged into an era choked by the darkness of an impending war, leaving many questioning the future of humanity and leaving only seconds away from doomsday. Ultimately, the weight of this situation hangs in the balance and rests with the most powerful leader in the world, the President of the United States.
Mr. President,
Don?
we have just received intel on the latest military advancements.
So what's the situation?
Mr. President, we have a serious situation. 2 Russian nuclear submarines have been spotted 400 miles off the east coast. An apparent Chinese invasion fleet has been formed across the coast of Taiwan. There's a talk of possibly joining a global war.
You know what this means for us?
Yes, sir. It means we could be drawn in. We may need to respond militarily.
Okay, call a meeting with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs at 1930 hours.
Yes, sir.
Situation in North Korea is starting to heat up a little bit.
Yeah, I've been thinking about North Korea for quite a while.
Gentlemen?
Mr. President?
General Smith? Okay, what's the latest?
Mr. President, the Commander-in-Chief of Eastern Operations is located at Camp David for the day. The Commander-in-Chief of the Middle East Operations is out of position until the 21st. Commanding Officer of the Northwestern Fleet is at Andrews for the day. He will be back at approximately 1800 hours.
Okay.
Sir, this is the current world intelligence situation. We have a report in North Korea troops are landing on the southern border. And in Eastern Europe, the situation is increasingly unstable daily. We have reports of rebels in the Middle East threatening to attack ships or planes that enter the area. I would ask that you pay attention to the 2 Russian subs that were spotted about 350 miles off of our coast. That's something we need to pay attention to. Mr. President, there's been reports of large naval assembling in the Black Sea. We are conducting reconnaissance missions over all of these locations, and we've actually moved our Southern Pacific Fleet to this area. I have a report from General Edwards in Command and Strategic Nuclear Bomb Units is requesting your permission that they be put on red alert. And also I received from Admiral Hayden is requesting to move his carrier fleet.
Tell Admiral Hayden to maintain his current position until we have more information. Also inform General Edwards his request is denied. I think by putting our nuclear bombers on red alert, it could send the wrong message to the rest of the world. As for the others, I'll review the reports later.
Mr. President, with all due respect, sir, we can't sit by idly. If we don't act, we risk losing our position.
What are the consequences of joining this war?
Significant casualties on both sides, civilian and military lives lost, resources drained. It has a 75% opportunity of leading to nuclear exchange.
Okay, I'm raising the nation's war readiness level to DEFCON 2. The nuclear attack submarines of Task Force 047 are to begin Operation Sea Monster and stand by for further orders. Also, all divisions of Task Force 0567 of the Marine Company are to move to red alert until further notice.
Yes, sir.
Any suggestions?
Sir, if we take no official action, we might become a target. Apparent weakness could be seen as an invitation.
If this continues to escalate, this could be a full-scale war, Mr. President.
What are our other options?
Well, we need to act fast. Diplomacy has failed. I think military action seems to be on the table.
Military action can't be our first move. I think we need to act calmly and cautiously and explore every diplomatic channel.
What if that fails? Time isn't on our side.
I understand, but we can't let fear or assumption of the other side's actions change our course to pursue a peaceful solution.
With all due respect, Mr. President, we may need a show of strength.
Look, we're on the brink of war. We have to find another solution.
Military options are limited, sir.
I think we should give diplomacy another shot.
Diplomacy? We've tried that for years.
Mr. President, considering the seriousness of this matter, I suggest you address the nation.
I want a full report on my desk by 1930 hours tomorrow and inform the Commander-in-Chief of the Northwestern Fleet to submit a readiness report by 1800 hours tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
From the White House and the Office of the President of the United States, we present an address by Baron Windsor. Mr. Windsor has chosen this moment to address the nation after his action, raising the nation's war readiness to a level not seen in over 60 years. Many reports of the international situation confirm that the entire world is at a critical moment, as a global nuclear war could be only hours away. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
My fellow Americans, as I speak to you today, I carry immense weight and come to you with extreme urgency. It is with a deep sense of responsibility and profound sadness that we gather here tonight in a moment where the world and everything we hold dear hangs on the brink of cataclysmic destruction. The specter of a third world war is larger than ever before, casting shadows over our futures and dreams and threatening modern civilization. Our nation is facing threats unmatched since the Cold War, when communism gathered in a system against us and sought to destroy our American system of liberty, equality, and justice. When I took office, I was filled with optimism and determination, believing that we could overcome any challenge. Yet we cannot ignore the harsh reality upon us. Tonight, I address not to instill fear, but to awaken urgency. We are at the crossroads. Old rivalries now resurface, and new technologies threaten to outpace our wisdom. It was seen as a miracle of technological advancement when the brilliant minds of the 1930s and 40s harnessed the power of atomic energy. We now live in a world where we have thousands of nuclear weapons, and our enemies have thousands of nuclear weapons. We stand, each of us, every nation, in the very moment of war. This current threat of nuclear annihilation is in no way a nightmare from the Cold War. It is a reality that will unfold rapidly if we do not act decisively. We have seen the devastating power of nuclear weapons. Even a single strike can obliterate any city and plunge humanity into a sort of darkness entirely alien to our planet. Some in our governments may argue that nuclear deterrence keeps us safe, but I ask you, at what cost? The risk of miscalculation and the potential for catastrophic accidents demand our immediate attention. Our current position is darker and more menacing than we have faced in generations. For decades, our government has allowed this nation, and indeed all nations, to live under the bloody sword of nuclear weapons. Our global status, escalating at an alarming rate, has brought us to a conflict unlike any in human history. For years, we watched with growing apprehension as the international landscape has fractured and diplomacy seems to have failed. The path to peace, once seemingly clear, is now choked with mistrust and aggression. We are not merely on the brink, but we are teetering over the edge. The The possibility of the next war, a war that will engulf the entire world, is no longer a distant threat. It is here. Should this conflict ignite, it will be a war unlike any other and will cost us tremendously. This war will demand the ultimate sacrifice from our finest soldiers, sailors, and airmen, those souls who have sworn to defend our nation. But also, millions of innocent men, women, and children will be obliterated. Our freedoms and our very way of life will perish. Their lives, their futures hang in the balance. And the cost extends far beyond the human toll. A global war of this magnitude will reshape our world, the world we know and love for thousands of years. Our very planet, our environment, our societies, humanity as a whole could be irrevocably altered. Make no mistake, we stand at the crossroads. One miscalculation, one spark, one act of aggression will trigger a nuclear catastrophe that would render the horrors of previous conflicts pale in comparison. It is a risk we cannot and will not take lightly. As I speak to you, our forces are mobilizing. Armies are moving towards potential battlefields. The gathering storm of war is here, and it grows louder with each passing hour. We are working tirelessly, diplomatically and otherwise, to avert this catastrophe. But the time for easy solutions has long passed. This is a moment that demands our unwavering resolve, our collective strength, and our unified purpose. This world is not merely a patchwork of nations. It is our shared home, a fragile ecosystem that thrives on cooperation, understanding, and respect. Today, I ask you to feel the weight of our collective responsibility. We are not just citizens of America, we are citizens of the world. Every conflict, every act of aggression, every lost life reverberates through our hearts. We cannot simply stand by and let history repeat itself again. We cannot continue to live under the constant threat of murder, theft, civil unrest, and world war. This moment requires swift and immediate action if we are to survive to see another day. If we are to see our children grow up, we must come together not just in this nation, but I appeal to the members of a global community. It is time to rekindle our commitment to diplomacy, to listen, to emphasize, and to forge pathways of peace. The solutions to our most pressing problems lie not in the halls of power alone, but in the choices of every single one of you. As we carry on, we must pray for peace. We must work for peace, but we must also prepare for the unthinkable. In the coming days, my government will outline further measures to ensure our national security and protect the American people. Let us hope and pray that the cooler heads of peaceful people will prevail. But let us also prepare for what may lie ahead. The fate of our nation, and indeed, the fate of our world, hangs in the balance. Let's not forget, war doesn't solve everything. The only thing that's going to stop this is unity at home and abroad.
You're right. But we need to be realistic. Our allies are watching.
What keeps you up at night?
Thinking about the families, the children. They don't deserve this.
Yeah, neither do we. We need to form a new strategy, one that prioritizes peace and that actually works.
And if that fails?
Well, we will exhaust every other possible option because the end result of the next war is human extinction.
We need a solution that brings peace.
That's right, a peaceful solution.
Today, President Windsor announced that his government will implement the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program in its continuous efforts to find a solution to the current international crisis. This comes only months after he and many other leaders met to discuss the reduction of nuclear stockpiles and the resolve of the international crisis. Today, he signed an executive order implementing it into all schools that receive federal funding, and his approval of the United States to fund the teaching of the peaceful solution across the world.
Why do you think it is important to use the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program now at the international level?
Well, what other choice do we have? I mean, think about this. The whole world has swung over the possibility of a global nuclear war since the late 1940s. And if you look at our society, it seems that somewhere in our history, we lost something very fundamental to peace and stability. I think it's the gradual decline of basic morals in our lifestyles. When the governments of the world see this program works in their schools and with their children, affecting the whole society in a positive way, then I hope they'll implement it into their governments. Then, and only when the major governments of the world implement the peaceful solution, then we'll have true world peace, only when the peaceful solution continues to be taught and practiced.
You seem very dedicated to this.
A person takes on the White House to make a difference, and you hope for that defining moment when the world is on the brink that you'll make the right decision. No president ever imagined this problem would be so terrible. No president could ever want this trouble, but it's here, and it's not me who's going to save the world, it's all of us. It's up to us, and it may be the last best hope humanity has.
And to learn more information on the peaceful solution, please pay close attention to the contact information on the screen now.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Thank you very much. Thank you. My fellow Americans, ladies and gentlemen, today I speak here profoundly inspired by the possibilities before us. When we took office, we inherited a world teetering on the edge of peril. Nations locked in a standoff, the shadow of nuclear conflict over our children's dreams. It was a time of fear and uncertainty. Yet as I reflect on the state of our union and the broader international community, I see unmistakable signs of resilience, courage, and hope. I witness the enduring spirit of humanity, a spirit that has overcome adversity time and again, and which now calls on us to shape a more peaceful and prosperous era. We now possess the power to transform the narrative of our time and the possibilities of our future. Today, we speak of our new initiative, the Peaceful Solution. This is not merely a political agenda or a diplomatic framework, but it represents a collective pledge, an unwavering commitment by all people across all borders to embrace mutual understanding, compassion, and respect. The Peaceful Solution is a call to action, a movement born from the conviction that a more harmonious world is both necessary and attainable. We imagine a world where fear is supplanted by trust, where hate yields to friendship, and where nations unite not simply to prevent catastrophe, but to forge new opportunities. That world is within our reach, and it begins with each of us, the citizens of this nation and all corners of the earth. Our journey towards lasting peace must begin with the reaffirmation of the power of communication. The Peaceful Solution Character Education Program will capitalize on the strength of dialogue, encouraging meaningful changes that transcend all borders and cultural divides. We will convene global forums to bridge differences, fostering an environment in which dreams, ambitions, and concerns can be expressed freely and respectfully. In these forums, we will listen actively and respond with empathy, recognizing that our strength resides in our shared morality and in the diversity of our experiences. However, dialogue, while essential, must be supported by deliberate and sustained action. Our pursuit of peace requires the dismantling of barriers, whether financial, political, social, or ideological. We will invest in educational initiatives that empower our youth, acknowledging that they are the leaders of our future. We will strive for economic partnerships that deliver broad-based prosperity, ensuring that progress lifts all communities, not just a privileged few. Through these efforts, we will build a foundation of trust, enabling nations to collaborate in addressing the pressing challenges that threaten our collective well-being. Peace, its real meaning, often abused, is not only the freedom from conflict or fear, it is the presence of justice, the advancement of equality, and the practice of morality. Through the peaceful solution, we stand united in opposition to hatred and division. We champion respect as the guiding principle of this new era. We will not hesitate to confront injustice wherever it arises, and we will remain steadfast in our commitment to cultivating a world where every child, regardless of background, can live free from fear and oppression. I recognize that some may question the feasibility of this vision. And history reminds us that ambitious change often meets resistance. Yet history also demonstrates that monumental progress is sparked by the courage to take the first step. As we advance in this initiative, let us do so together, transcending political divisions, spanning continents and cultures, and uniting in the pursuit of common aspirations. I invite all to join in this transformative movement. Each of us has a role to play in shaping the future where peace is a reality. Together, we will dispel the shadows of fear and division. Together, we will also dismantle the invisible walls that separate us. And together, we can build a nation and a world defined by understanding, compassion, and unity. If we choose to act with conviction, to believe in our shared humanity, and to strive for something greater, we will lay the foundation for an era characterized not by the threat of war, but by the enduring promise of peace. I call on you to stand in support of the peaceful solution. Let us reaffirm our commitment to safeguarding humanity from the scourge of conflict, and to realize that a future where all people can live free from fear and oppression will be through our collective resolve and dedication. If history has taught us anything, it is that our greatest strength lies in our ability to move forward, determined to achieve what others say is impossible. 250 years ago, our ancestors were no more than a handful of colonies perched on the edge of a vast, untamed continent. Those early settlers, the farmers, frontiersmen, soldiers, unsure of what may lie beyond the rolling hills and dense forests, yet with every plow turned in the fertile soil, with every log laid in a sturdy cabin, they declared to the world, we will endure, we will build, and we will preserve. Generation after generation, their commitment remained. They braved thousands of miles of rugged wilderness, carving railroads through mountains, leveling tracks across plains, binding east and west with steel and sweat. They raised the skyscrapers. They laid the highways that stitched the nation into a single living tapestry. They marched for civil rights under scorching sun and chilling rain, knowing that justice would prevail only if they kept marching forward. They toiled day after day, season after season, guided by a simple but powerful idea that all men and women are endowed with unalienable rights and that our government derives their just powers out of respect for the governed. When the world was torn apart by global conflict, we did not shy away. We stood tall against fascism, sending men to protect freedom's promise. Decades later, when the Iron Curtain descended upon Europe, we faced down the grip of communism without flinching. We scaled the mountains, fought through the jungles, traversed hostile oceans, and prevailed. We have turned deserts into grain fields, tamed rivers to power our cities, harnessed electricity to light our nights. We ended the cruel institution of slavery, rescued millions from tyranny, and lifted billions from the grip of poverty. We harnessed electricity, split the atom, and launched humanity into the heavens. We transformed the sum total of human knowledge into a device that fits in the human hand. In it all, we did not seek glory. We sought only the rights and dignity of every human being, and in doing so, lifted our nation. Through each triumph and trial, one truth remained constant. Progress does not arrive on its own. It is forged by citizens who refuse to accept no, by hands that will not let go, by hearts that will not be broken. Every farmer who rises before dawn, every teacher who lights a spark of curiosity in a child's eyes, every nurse who holds a patient's hand in the darkest hour, every entrepreneur who dares to dream of a better tomorrow. This record of achievement was not inscribed by any single person or party, but it was crafted by millions. Today, we face our own uncertainties, global unrest, a changing climate, and a world more interconnected and more competitive than ever before. Yet just as our ancestors turned wilderness into farmland, frontier into industry, adversity into opportunity, we too will rise. We will innovate in our labs and workshops. We will build cleaner cities and strengthen our schools and restore law and order to our streets. We will stand with all nations and assert our common values on the world stage. We owe this to those who came before us, the farmers who broke the first furrow in the New World, the factory workers who powered the Industrial Revolution, the troops who fought and died on this ground and in foreign lands. Now it is our turn to carry the flag, to push forward boldly, and to leave a legacy even greater for those who follow, to choose courage over fear, unity over division, peace over war. We choose to believe that no obstacle is too great when we stand together as one people, for when we do, there is nothing we cannot achieve. I quote the late President Theodore Roosevelt when he said, "The poorest way to face life is to face it with a sneer." There are many men who feel a kind of twisted pride in cynicism. There are many who confine themselves to the criticism of the way others do what they themselves dare not even to attempt. There is no more unhealthy being than he who really holds or feigns to hold an attitude of sneering disbelief towards all that is great and lofty, whether in achievement or in that noble effort which, even if it fails, comes to second achievement. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who, at the best, knows in the end the triumph of high achievement. And at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. My fellow Americans, the pages of our history are filled with the names and deeds of those who would not be stopped. Today we add our own chapter, a chapter of renewal, of discovery, and of hope. We will march onward, pressing forward into the new frontier of the 21st century. And when future generations look back, they will see in our deeds the same relentless spirit that turned colonies into a mighty republic. This is our moment, as an entire nation, and we will rise to it with courage, conviction, and unwavering faith in the promise of a united world. Thank you.
We interrupt our regular programming to bring you breaking news from Washington, D.C. and the Office of the President. It is with the most profound sorrow that we announce the death of the 55th President of the United States, Baron Windsor, who died peacefully in his sleep earlier this morning at the age of 56. This news comes after several months of his declining health and his struggle with a serious illness. During his 7 years in office, through the use of the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program by Dr. Yusra Hawkins, President Windsor was dedicated tirelessly to his commitment to lasting world peace and peace in our own nation. And his passing comes as a profound shock to the nation and the world, and is a tremendous loss for our country. We will continue to provide updates.
So first of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror, which paralyzes needed effort to convert retreat into advance.
We shall pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe to assure the survival and the success of liberty. Every thoughtful citizen who despairs of war and wishes to bring peace should begin by looking inward, by examining his own attitude towards the possibilities of peace. Too many of us think it is impossible. Too many think it is unreal. But that is a dangerous, defeatist belief. It leads to the conclusion that war is inevitable, that mankind is doomed, that we are gripped by forces we cannot control. We need not accept that view. Our problems are man-made, therefore they can be solved by man, and man can be as big as he wants. Man's reason and spirit have often solved the seemingly unsolvable, and we believe they can do it again. This country of the United States was not built by those who waited and rested and wished to look behind them. This country was conquered by those who move forward, and so will space. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept. The energy, the faith, the devotion which we bring to this endeavor will light our country and all who serve it. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
The greatest honor history can bestow is the title of peacemaker, the chance to help lead the world at last out of the valley of turmoil and onto that high ground of peace that man has dreamed of since the dawn of civilization.
I believe that truth is the glue that holds government together, not only our government, but civilization itself.
Our nation can be strong abroad only if it is strong at home.
There can be no real peace while one American is dying someplace in the world for the rest of us. We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars. Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the founding fathers. You and I are told increasingly we have to choose between a left or right. Well, I'd like to suggest there is no such thing as a left or right. There's only an up or down. Man's old age dream, the ultimate in individual freedom consistent with law and order, or down to the ant-heap of totalitarianism. And regardless of their sincerity, their humanitarian motives, those who would trade our freedom for security have embarked on this downward course.
Never, ever give up. There'll be times in your life you'll want to quit, you'll want to go home. Ask yourself, with all of those blessings and all of the blessings that you've been given, what will you give back to this country and indeed to the world? What imprint will you leave in the sands of history? Did we take risks? Did we dare to defy expectations? Did we challenge accepted wisdom and take on established systems? Just give in because it was the easy way, it was the traditional way, or it was the accepted way? Remember this, nothing worth doing ever came easy. Following your convictions means you must be willing to face criticism from those who lack the same courage to do what is right, and they know what is right, but they don't have the courage or the guts or the stamina to take it and to do it. It's called the road less traveled. Go back home and tell Mom, Dad, I can do it. I can do it. I will do it. You're going to be successful. I've seen so many brilliant people. They gave up in life. They were totally brilliant. They were top of their class. They were the best students. They were the best of everything. They gave up. I've seen others who really didn't have that talent or that ability, and they're among the most successful people today in the world because they never quit and they never gave up. So just remember that. Never stop fighting for what you believe in and for the people who care about you. Demand the best from yourself and be totally unafraid to challenge entrenched interests and failed power structures. Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. Being an outsider is fine. Embrace the label, because it's the outsiders who change the world and who make a real and lasting difference. The more that a broken system tells you that you're wrong, the more certain you should be that you must keep pushing ahead. You must keep pushing forward. As you build good lives, you will also be rebuilding our nation. You'll be leaders in your communities, stewards of great institutions, and defenders of liberty. And you will be great mothers and fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers, loving friends and loving family members. You will build a future. You will have the confidence to speak the hopes in your hearts and to express the love that stirs your souls.
My fellow Americans, the pages of our history are filled with the names and deeds of those who would not be stopped. Today we add our own chapter, a chapter of renewal, of discovery, and of hope. We will march onward, pressing forward into the new frontier of the 21st century. And when future generations look back, they will see in our deeds the same relentless spirit that turned colonies into a mighty republic. This is our moment, as an entire nation, and we will rise to it with courage, conviction, and unwavering faith in the promise of a united world.